Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome into another installment of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, home of the Ravens, 93.5 The Beach. We are broadcasting from the Ravens Room of the Blue Ox, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City. And Ravens Roost 44 is always It is week number 10 of the NFL, week number 9 for your now 6-2 Baltimore Ravens. Coming up, we're going to recap the 23-20 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll also give our grades, talk news and notes, and we'll preview the upcoming game against the Seattle Seahawks. We want to thank our sponsors, of course, the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, our friends at Bud Light, FlyLady.net, the Ocean City Golf Club, G&G Outfitters, Ravens247.com, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, and our friends at jctickets.net. I'm Mike Bradley from 105.7 The Fan. To my left, former co-host of the Stallion Sports Show, and he hosts a million golf shows. I don't know how you keep it all straight. Bobby Vermillion, OC Local. Yeah. Owner of the Green Turtle, Steve Papp, is joining a special guest, getting in the big seat. You got big seats. I know. Well, we had Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, last week. We got Steve Pappas this week.
From Steve Bisciotti to Steve Pappas.
We keep taking a step up each time.
And to his left, former Lehigh College player, OC Local, and entrepreneur, John Gary. Guys, I mean, I tell you what a week we had last week. First, for Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti to come down. We had a great show, great turnout as always. It was a great time, and I know, as he said, you know, he's rooting right there with us to cap off the week with a 23-20 victory. The way it went down, too, I think at the end, Bobby, we all kind of felt, we got that feeling in our stomachs, here we go again. But this time, Joe Flacco and the Ravens turned the tables on the Steelers.
They really did. You know, and you could see it in Terrell Suggs in the press conference after the game. They asked him, you know, what was going through your mind as the Ravens got the ball with 2 minutes left and Flacco had the ball in his hand. He kind of chuckled, and he said it. You know, as Ravens fans, we felt it. Either one of two things is going to happen. Either he was going to make some great plays and they were going to come back and win the game, or it was going to be the same team as last year and the last couple of years. And, you know, take your hat off to Joe and the offense, and take our hat off to the offensive line. Did a great job. You know, I think he put a lot of questions to bed, and more importantly, and it's been talked about this week, and it can't be really overstated, the confidence that this team now has in the offense to know if we need a couple of scores, the offense can put it together and really make the difference in a football game.
Steve, the record with the Ravens up in Pittsburgh, not very good. Last year, we did get the win up there on a drive, but Ben Roethlisberger wasn't playing, so, you know, they didn't give us full credit for that, even so.
Ben Roethlisberger doesn't play defense.
Right, well, that's true, too. But, you know, some unfinished business, especially after that playoff game last year, Steve, and they go out and they take care of it. How many times have we seen Ben dropping the Ravens at the end of the game? This time, Joe did it to them.
Well, you know, when they got the ball deep on the 4 or 5 yard line, they made that long drive.
It was like a 92-yard drive. Yeah.
It was, you know, you're going, oh no, here we go again. Everyone's all scared. But you got to remember, Ray Lewis went back and said, don't worry about it. Our offense is going to take care of it. And when you heard that, you knew something was going to change. There's something in the air that's changing now, and it was Flacco. It was Flacco. You give him the time, and I said this before to you, and Steven and I talked about this. You give Flacco time, he's a great quarterback. Not a good quarterback, he's a great quarterback.
I think things really changed when John Garrett wrote the blog on Ravens 24/7. It all changed with the Ravens and Joe Flacco.
I'm not so sure Joe didn't read that and got a little fired up, John. A little motivation. We'll take it.
Then I'm happy he read it. But look, it wasn't a perfect game from him, but that's what winning quarterbacks do. When you're playing the Steelers, that's one of the best Steelers-Ravens games, period. The defenses, two great defenses, two really good offenses, and all sides of the ball showed up. It was an entertaining game. I'm really happy that the Ravens had a good national TV type game. Aren't we sick of watching field goals and nothing really happening? And that was just an entertaining game, even if you weren't a Steelers or a Ravens fan. You know, it really goes to show that is not just the best rivalry in NFL. That might be one of the best rivalries in sports right now.
Absolutely.
They put on a good show.
Well, I mean, how many times does it come down to a field goal? 3-point game. The spread always starts out at 3.5. It always ends up like that. And I think, folks, I mean, I know Joe Flacco, that's the big talk. I think let's just savor the win. I mean, to be fair, I think we do need to see consistency across the board from the entire offense. I think that's a fair statement to make. Let's just enjoy it and hope that they can parlay this going forward. But that is a huge confidence boost.
Yeah, I tell you, it was there was finally a good feel to that game offensively. I mean, we won a great rushing performance. Ray Rice didn't have a huge game, but the Ravens stuck with the run. There were a lot of, all the tremendous conversions on third down, about 67% or 70% conversion on third down. That's because a lot of time we were in manageable third downs just because we were in third and short. We had a lot of 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s. We never had a third down over 3rd and 10, so we stuck with the running game, and Joe made plays. Then we needed our quarterback to make plays. He's in the shotgun. It's clear from over the last 6 quarters now, with the second half of that Arizona game, that he has a good feel and a good rhythm in the offense in the shotgun. Ray Rice likes running out of the shotgun. I just think we're going to see him stand back there now.
All right, more. We'll discuss it more. The Ravens and Steelers next on Comcast Beach TV.
Are you embarrassed to invite people to your home to watch your favorite football team? Well, don't worry, because you're not alone. FlyLady.net is the support you need. Join us and our more than 600,000 members and learn how to crush the clutter and game plan your way through routines that'll help you organize your home and your life. Tackle clutter and get your home game day ready with FlyLady.net.
G&G Outfitters, Inc. is a premier full-service in-house provider of branded merchandise and marketing solutions. With over 20 years of proven experience, G&G continues to successfully produce branded merchandise for some of the world's leading corporations, associations, and teams. From start to finish, G&G Outfitters is your single-source, one-stop partner for promotional products, logoed apparel, and all of your branded needs. For more info on the services and capabilities of G&G, visit ggoutfitters.com or call 301-731-2282.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
What's going on?
We're giving Matt the NFL experience of a high-pressure field goal.
Look out! It's terrible, man!
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you can win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Hey, it gets easier. Really? No.
And welcome back in. It is the Ravens Drive Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach, broadcasting from the Blue Ox Bar and Grill here in Ocean City. Mike Bradley, Bobby Vermillion, Steve Pappas, and John Garrett. A little bit different panel this week. It's always good to get a little change up, a little shuffle up. Guys, we talk about the 23-20 win. Joe Flacco, of course, I mean, the headline in this game because of the fact that he leads them on a 92-yard drive back. And only one of 5 quarterbacks since the merger in '70 to throw for under 300 yards in a game and no interceptions up in Pittsburgh. We can talk about the yardage to come back, but clearly turnovers are huge, and that's one thing we didn't have up there Sunday that obviously helped us out a lot.
I don't think there's any question about it, Mike. And Joe had the one big turnover in the fourth quarter. But over the last couple of years, everybody's been focusing on what Joe Flacco hasn't done, what he couldn't do. And I think what's been overlooked, and now that this game happened a week ago, what has he done? He won in Pittsburgh last year. You talked about this earlier. And he won in Pittsburgh this year. So here's a guy that has won some big games, made some comebacks. I mean, he's the winningest quarterback since 2008 now. And he's in his 4th year. So I think as Ravens fans and really the NFL, and Terrell Suggs has come to his defense against Skip Bayless on ESPN, I think people are focusing on what Flacco can't do. And my guy, John Garrett, and he's a Skip Bayless of Baltimore and Ocean City.
But look, here's the deal.
You have to focus on what he can do.
You're right,
does well.
But you're right about that. And what we saw was week 1. That Flacco that came out, and we thought, there's a Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi Trophy was up here after that. we were all feeling good. And then what happened? The problem with Joe isn't that, I almost feel vindicated because I think he can be great. I've said this on that blog, and I got, just basically strung up on the message boards. I'm out there defending myself. I expect him to be great. He has some of the best physical tools in the entire league. So when people say you can't compare him to Aaron Rodgers or you can't compare him to Tom Brady, and why not? Aaron Rodgers was drafted 24th. Some people will say, oh, well, Joe wasn't a #1 pick. Well, Aaron Rodgers wasn't Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers became Aaron Rodgers, became the great Aaron Rodgers. So why can't Joe become great? Why are we going to expect him to be good? Let's expect him to be great. He can be great, and he's been great. We just don't want to see any more Jacksonville and Tennessee games. Well, that's the rub, and that's the frustration.
I think as Ravens fans, Mike, and I think Steve Bisciotti addressed this last week on this program, you look at the offense, and there's a lot of new parts on that offense. The offense is still young, and a lot of guys are playing, in their first and second year, or asked to do things this year for the first time ever. You got the 2 tight ends in Pitta and Dixon. You've got a left tackle that just got there late and it was barely in training camp. Our all-pro guard Grubbs is out. What a difference Ben Grubbs made this week on that offensive line. I think our offensive line played great.
Steve, Joe, we talked last year, wins the regular season. I think you can make an argument he had a pretty good playoff game all in all outside the 1 interception to heap. He's starting to have a trend here. We was playing fairly well in Pittsburgh. That's huge.
Mike Preston said, and I don't know how many of you read the Baltimore Sun, but he said, after this game, because Preston is probably the Ravens' biggest critic, of course, and he always comes hard on Flacco. He said that, Joe's, after this game, because Joe had a pretty good game. You got to remember, Torrey Smith dropped a few balls, too. Yep. He had a good game. And what Steven said was correct also. He kept saying, Joe plays better at a faster pace. When we go into a no huddle, or like you say, go into the shotgun and try to move the ball a little quicker, when he has that 8-10 seconds to get to the line and check off, he's a much better quarterback. Of course, like you said, Grubbs was there. I don't know if that was the difference, but Flacco had a lot more time.
Against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Against the Steelers. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when you look at what Mike Preston said, he said Flacco had a great game, and he's never going to be an elite quarterback. He won't. Listen. Wait a second. I'm talking about Mike Preston. Listen, not me. Mike Preston. He said that Flacco's never going to be an elite quarterback, and he's never going to be a bad quarterback. He's always going to be just a good quarterback. I don't know how many of you read that article in the Sun paper.
Well, I don't know about how good. I think he's.
Well, we all think he's a great quarterback.
I don't want to say he's great, but he's.
I think he is. I think he's.
You got to take the purple-colored glasses off. He's still 23rd in quarterback rating. He's behind Mark Sanchez. He's behind Sanchez.
Here's what I have a problem with. Do you judge him on wins or you judge him on statistics? How would you like if he had the best quarterback rating in the league, but he was fit?
Are we winning because of him?
I think he's.
We won against the Steelers because of him.
That's exactly right, and we won 2 games against the Steelers because of him. I think he can be one of the best in the league, and I'm not willing to say. Imagine if you had a coach or a father or a teacher that says, "Oh, it's okay to be good." Then no one would ever.
I don't think anybody inside that locker room or on the staff is saying that.
We are. The fans are. He's good. He's fine. He's not Aaron Rodgers. I hear that all the time.
Well, wait a minute. There's only one Aaron Rodgers. Everybody else is down here right now. Aaron Rodgers is here. Everybody is down here. Brady. Peyton's not playing. Who else? Name somebody else that's close to Aaron Rodgers.
My point is, when he started, he was just good. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers was just happy with being good.
Yeah, but he wouldn't
have a ring.
When he started, when you're talking about when he actually started, when Favre was gone, Aaron Rodgers was great right away. He didn't waste any time.
No, he wasn't.
I'm not talking about the first 3 or 4 years when he sat behind him.
I want him to be great, and he can be great.
Guys, we got to wrap up.
Hold on, he was great this week.
Look, we'll continue this. We got to wrap up this segment, but more Ravens, Steelers, and Joe Flacco talk coming up on Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach.
Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill. Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back in. It is the Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, home of the Ravens, 93.5 The Beach. We're broadcasting from the Blue Ox at Ocean City here, 127th Street at Coastal Highway. Ravens Roost 44 joining us. Give yourselves a hand. Feeling pretty good after that 23-20 win. Hey, we want to thank our sponsors. Of course, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill here. Our friends at Bud Light, FlyLady.net, the Ocean City Golf Club, G&G Outfitters, Ocean City, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, I should say, here in Ocean City, Ravens247.com, and jctickets.net. And don't forget, the more times you come down, the more chances you have at winning Ravens merchandise. We've got red tickets that we give out, your chance at winning twice during the show. And also we have the November 30th drawing for a trip for two to San Diego. So again, the more times you come down, the more chances you have at collecting tickets and giving yourself a better shot at winning on November 30th.
Mike, I got to say, I've been on a couple away games through JC Tickets, and I tell you what, San Diego is a great city. It's a great trip, a great giveaway. Yep. And if you can't make, and if you don't win, if you're not fortunate enough to win the San Diego trip, definitely give jctickets.net a call, because if you're looking to go to any of the away games, John Corsi is a great guy, and it's a great group of people that go, and it's a lot of fun.
I got to tell you, it's amazing. Last segment here, we're talking 23-20 win, and we're getting into a good argument. Still Joe Flacco here. We win the ball game. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but of course Joe's at the center of it, as you would expect though with a quarterback. But we got some other things.
But it's all good. I mean,
it is all good, and I think, John, and I'll just say this to your point. This year, I think you're right. He has the ability to be great. He's shown that at times. It was his 8th comeback. If you look at a couple of games last year with the defense, if they come through, he may have 11 to his career, which is pretty good over 4 years. A lot of moving parts, I think, as Steve talked about last week, too, with changing of the offensive line, new receivers and all that. You're changing a little bit of the offensive philosophy going downfield more. So there's a lot of moving parts, and here we're looking at a guy becoming that elite quarterback, and yet they're still trying to get it together offensively. So I know the season's moving along, but I guess talk to me at the end of 16 weeks as we go into the playoffs.
But just remember one thing: you're only as good as your last game. That's the way it. I mean, you got people writing Brady off right now. Because they're saying, they got him figured out. He's not as good as he was.
How about Phillip Rivers? I mean, he went up there after the game and said, I appreciate you guys trying to figure out why I'm throwing all these picks, but, I'm not injured and it's going to happen, but he's not having the best of years right now either, even though it was a shootout.
You're only as good as your last game, and you're only as good as your offensive line, and that's the truth.
And here's the reality. The defense really didn't show up. The Steelers' offense drove up and down.
Well, I want to talk about that coming up.
They were in the red zone, or they were inside the 30 6 times, I think it was. Ray Rice was shut down. Suggs was shut down. Haloti Ngata was invisible. And we won the game.
And yet we still won.
And we won. And why did we win? We won because Joe Flacco executed plays. And, so don't take my comments the wrong way. That type of performance, though, is I want to expect it. I just don't want to be, I don't want to come out of left field as one of as a rarity. I think it can happen each and every week.
No doubt. Well, Bobby, I think one of the stats that certainly stood out after the game, 14 of 21 in third down conversions. Dennis Pitta, 5 catches. All 5 of those catches were third down conversions. Right. We talk about Ed Dickson. The defense did a good job, double teaming him and Anquan Bolden. He got one-on-ones, and he made the most of it.
I tell you what, that was great to see. I think Steve Bisciotti made a point to make that last week, and that is the tight ends could be a very important part in this game, and they certainly were. Dennis Pitta had a lot of great third down conversions. Dixon was a factor in the game, and you'd see really the chemistry between Joe and these young tight ends starting to really pick up on the Ravens offense, and I think it's just going to get better as we move forward. I was here week 1, and I picked the Steelers to beat the Ravens in week 1 because I felt like the Ravens offense was just too young. Well, obviously, we created 7 turnovers. We were able to dominate that game. But I also said the first week that the Ravens would win in Pittsburgh. And the reason I said that is because I really believe that the Ravens offense will continue to get better as the season goes on. Once you get these guys playing together, they're more comfortable. Now you give them the confidence of what Joe and this offense did coming back in Pittsburgh. I think the sky's the limit for this team. It looks like Lee Evans practiced this week. He practiced today. So maybe he's available for the Seattle game. If not, hopefully for Cincinnati. You put him on the outside with Torrey Smith and put Anquan Bolden in the slot with these two young tight ends. You've got a pretty powerful offense in the making, and I think that's what Ravens fans have to look forward to.
Let's not forget Laquan Williams as well. A couple of hits, a key big catches. I mean, maybe it's happening a little bit slower than what we would have hoped, but it's getting there. We're seeing glimpses, Steve, and again, hopefully they can parlay this into something consistent on the home stretch where Cincinnati looms 2 big games against them coming up.
Bobby and I were talking about coming up here about the schedule coming up for the Ravens. You know, they're 6-2. The season's halfway over, but now you've got Cleveland twice, Cincinnati twice, correct?
Yep.
You know, they're big games, and
San Diego.
Look what happened against Jacksonville. I mean, if the Ravens don't show up, we could be in serious trouble. It might be Cincinnati beating both Pittsburgh and the Ravens out. They might be going.
Chill out.
I'm just telling you, you never know.
Well, guys,
okay, for a second, how many people here on the outside, everybody's like, the Ravens are going to win last week.
30 seconds.
They're going to win, they're going to win. But deep down inside, you always had that, my God, we're going into Pittsburgh, they're so tough. How do you think Pittsburgh fans are feeling right now? You know they had a W posted for last week's game.
We'll talk about
They
it.
all did. All the Pittsburgh fans had a W.
And that's an excellent point. We got a lot more to get to. Ravens 23-20 over the Steelers. That's all that matters at the end of the day, though. We'll be back. Ravens Wrap Show, Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach.
G&G Outfitters, Inc. is a premier full-service in-house provider of branded merchandise and marketing solutions. With over 20 years of proven experience, G&G continues to successfully produce branded merchandise for some of the world's leading corporations, associations, and teams. From start to finish, G&G Outfitters is your single-source, one-stop partner for promotional products, logoed apparel, and all of your branded needs. For more info on the services and capabilities of G&G, visit ggoutfitters.com or call 301-731-2282.
Come see us at Blue Rock.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Are you embarrassed to invite people to your home to watch your favorite football team? Well, don't worry, because you're not alone. FlyLady.net is the support you need. Join us and our more than 600,000 members and learn how to crush the clutter and game plan your way through routines that'll help you organize your home and your life. Tackle clutter and get your home game day ready with FlyLady.net.
Welcome back, Andy. It is the Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, home of the Ravens, 93.5 The Beach. Mike Bradley, Bobby Vermillion sitting in for Tony Lombardi, also Steve Pappas for Bruce Laird and John Gehrig. So we got a little bit of a shake-up on the panel. I like that. Get some differences of opinion and all that. And guys,
a little difference of opinion between.
Yeah, about these two. Yeah. Well, John and I went at it with the offense in general a few weeks ago. So
you know, if everyone thinks the same, that means someone's not thinking.
There you go.
There you go. I like that. Guys, a few things I'll throw out there, and then you guys can discuss it amongst yourselves. One thing, John, you said during the break, didn't rush the ball very well in general, but, you know, if you add the yardage to that touchdown run that was called back, which was very questionable hold on Torrey Smith, that's huge. That's some 60, 70 yards there, which tilts the scales and adds a touchdown.
But did it seem like Ray Rice was... He wasn't. It was like he had to walk to the sideline, take a break for a few plays.
He was out a little bit. They put Ricky Williams, got 9 rushes. He had 18, 27 total. The one thing you could say, though, guys, they
needs to hit the treadmill or something.
Well, they committed. Hey, they stayed committed enough to the running game to keep them honest. A couple other things. We talk about that big drive at the end of the game. 2 things there. First off, Pittsburgh had a timeout. they were deciding, going back and forth, whether to kick a field goal, take the chance of a field goal, or punt the ball there. So they got a 5-yard penalty because they didn't take a timeout. So Mike Tomlin screwed up there.
He admitted that.
He did admit that. I still think at the end of the day, don't chance the field goal, punt it, and make your defense, which is pretty darn good, make them, force the offense to have to drive 92 yards on your offense or on your defense, which is pretty good. So that was pretty big in the game as well. We talked about some of the calls. Torrey Smith had a drop, but I also thought there was a play where that same play he got held on. But Bobby, you brought it up during the break as well too on that drive during the timeout, and John Harbaugh made mention of it that at the stadium they played Leonard Skinner's "What's Your Name?" little girl, and they flashed up Flacco's stats versus Ben Roethlisberger's stats, and John Harbaugh was pretty irked by that. Now I got to say, I don't know why you're paying attention to that kind of stuff. Why are you even hearing that? Because Flacco said, "I didn't even know they played a song," which is the right answer. You should be tuned into what you're doing, but look, that stuff's going to happen at away stadiums. Let's not forget, hey, what were the chants? No means no when Big Ben visited M&T Bank Stadium last year. So
I don't think
I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest with you. So what?
Yeah, it's one thing if the fans take part, but when it's at their stadium and they're in control of it, I think they have a little bit more class than that. I think the Steelers have a class organization. Obviously, they have a great fan base, even though we all have friends of ours probably that are Steelers fans that we have some battles with. But you got to take your hat off to the Steelers.
Somebody said no, I don't have any.
But it's amazing.
Good for you, sir.
and you got to give it to Terrell Suggs at his press conference after the game. Hey, we're not done with them. These guys aren't done yet. We may see them again in January.
Pretty good team.
They're a good football team. They're well coached. You alluded to Mike Tomlin made a couple mistakes, but I'll say this again. In 2 years, the 2 games in the regular season in Pittsburgh now, we've come back on their defense. Okay, now let's flip the scales a little bit, and if it's the Ravens defense on the field and Ben Roethlisberger comes back, they're saying how great Ben Roethlisberger is in 2 comebacks. They have to start talking about the Ravens offense and Joe Flacco like that now, because no lead. This is against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We came back 92 yards.
This wasn't
against the Arizona Cardinals. Right. This was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, your arch rival, with 2 minutes left in the game, 1 timeout that we didn't even use.
In Pittsburgh.
So that says a lot about the character of this football team.
In Pittsburgh, they did it.
Absolutely.
It's big.
Yeah. John, you talked about it with the defense and a little bit of your actually unhappiness with the way they play. I agree. I don't think it was a Ravens-esque type performance against the Steelers. I thought they ran the ball and the stats were there. I mean, Mendenhall had 13 for 52, averaged 4 yards a carry on that. They had some big runs before they had to abandon the run in Baltimore in week 1. One thing I was surprised about, we didn't get the pressure with the 4 or 5 guys that we did week 1. But then Chuck Pagano, I didn't really see the blitz packages either. I think, though, John, you get your opinion. I think that's just out of respect for a pretty good receiving core. Even though they were minus Emmanuel Sanders, still got some good players in Wallace and Brown. And
there's a lot of speed with those receivers that were playing. Antonio Brown and
Mike Wallace.
So, and really.
And Heath Miller, a good tight end.
Good tight end. Kerry Williams played very well. So the secondary played great. And, we took away, and I was surprised that they didn't attack more, that the Steelers didn't attack more down the field. But if we're covering their guys, and clearly Wallace was blanketed a couple times, we're not going to be able to do it all. We can't play great defense against speed guys and get pressure and send blitzes. So, it worked. It was just enough, and I agree with Bobby wholeheartedly. Go into their place and pull it out. And all in all, 2 healthy teams. I know they were missing 2 linebackers, but Woodley's a big loss. But the Ravens defense played well enough because Joe Flacco picked up the slack and got it done.
Steve, your thoughts about 45 seconds on the Ravens defense?
Well, I think sometimes, how many times have we seen our defensive line bust in and almost get Roethlisberger, and all of a sudden he escapes it, he eludes, either he runs for 10, 12 yards or he hits somebody. He's the most dangerous when we're almost there and we can't get him on our grass. So what the defense did was contain. You played a lot of sports, I played a lot of sports. Sometimes it's better to contain than it is to go after him.
The only way we contained him was the clock ran out. Because he moved the ball up and down.
Talking about making plays outside the pocket, and he made the one, but that was the only one.
And that's big. Maybe that was their defensive plan. Who knows? I mean,
well, we'll talk about it more. Ravens 23-20, those 6-2 atop the AFC North. More of the Ravens Wrap Show coming up here on Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach.
Ravens Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill. Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back in. It is the Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and the Strongest Signal Ravens affiliate on the Eastern Shore, 93.5 The Beach. We're broadcasting from the Ravens Room of the Blue Ox, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City with Ravens Roost 44. Yourselves once again. I want to thank our sponsors, of course, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, the Blue Ox, Bud Light, FlyLady.net, the Ocean City Golf Club, G&G Outfitters, Ravens247.com, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, and JCTickets.net. And don't forget, the more times you come down here, the more chances you have at not only winning great Ravens stuff, but we got that trip to San Diego, November 30th we're giving away. That's pretty darn good. The Ravens taking on the Chargers in December, so that's one of the most beautiful cities in the country. I'd love to get out there.
We've had San Diego weather here the last
Yeah,
week.
no, we have. It's been great. And guys, I got to tell you, this whole past week was great. I mean, not just for me personally, with Bishotti last week. Then Friday covered Queen Anne's Kent Island High School football, which was a great game. Had the fortune of doing City Poly on Saturday, which came down last 9 seconds. Poly wins. And Sunday night to wrap it up with that Ravens 23-20 victory. I tell you, we were stomping at the bar afterwards and then some. So another couple of rounds after the game was over. That was a good time.
Tony's not here to talk about his, touch football?
Oh, that's right, the 6-time Parkville 51. Well, you had to bring that up.
Without hearing about that.
Hey, a couple of things. We talk about Joe Flacco being one of only 5 quarterbacks since the merger to throw for 300 yards and no interceptions. You're right, he did have that fumble, excuse myself, but 300 yards, no interceptions in Pittsburgh. But also Billy Cundiff, one of 4 or 5 kickers to kick a 50-plus yard field goal in Pittsburgh on that open end. That was huge. One of 3. Okay, one of 3 kickers. So, see, Ravens are 44. They come educated and ready to go as well. So, this was big, and we were able to do some things that don't normally happen in this game anyway.
I tell you, it was, and John talked about the defense a little bit, but in the first half, the defense didn't play that much football because the offense really controlled the ball quite a bit in the first half. So our defense kind of got their way with the Steelers in the first half. The Ravens offense controlled the game. I know at halftime I felt like, we really outplayed them and we're only up by 3 points. Right. And that was a little disappointing. But in the second half, again, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went in, they made some adjustments. They immediately come out in the no huddle and they start having some success. Well, the Ravens then have to make some adjustments. And one of the things that I was seeing on that drive was Matt Starks was really playing well against Terrell Suggs. So
that they cut and picked back up.
Exactly. He wasn't even playing. They cut him, they bring him back, and he was kind of controlling Suggs the whole first half and starting out on that drive. They started to move Suggs around. They moved him to the other side and put Jared Johnson, then Kruger in, and then Suggs comes away with that interception. So take your hats off to Chuck Pagano and the defense because when the Steelers came out and made some adjustments, so did the Ravens. And I think that paid dividends. In the second half, this is the Steelers. You're not going to keep Ben Roethlisberger down, particularly at home. And I know that wasn't one of the better Ravens games defensively, but you know what? Again, this is the Steelers, and they're a good football team.
Well, and the guys, they came out big when they had to, though. In the first half, I think they get a sack and force Pittsburgh to settle for a field goal. You just talk, Bobby. You just talk about Terrell Suggs intercepting on that screenplay to Mike Wallace. They came up big when they had to.
How about Ray Lewis's hit on Hines Ward?
Yeah. Birdies all around his head, right?
I think he may be getting fined by the NFL.
He got fined $20,000.
Yeah. Well,
how about Ryan Clark though? Today got fined $40,000 for his hit on Ed Dixon, and he had some choice words for Roger Goodell too with that. I got to tell you, though, I thought those were both some good football plays, good football hits. I mean, they've changed that, obviously, now. I know they're trying to protect the players, but I thought that was a good hit that Clark had on Dixon, to be quite honest.
They were both good hits. It's just getting a little ridiculous now, but might as well just put leather helmets back on, you know. So, but I tell you,
that'll force them from the
This is how life works. You know, Hines Ward patrols the field looking for some cheap shots, and he's got a few on Reed and Bart Scott. Lewis, and it's funny how life just kind of comes around.
Ray Lewis made him pay, I'll tell you.
Well,
that was a great hit.
I think he may have a few more hits coming his way before all is said and done.
Jarrett Johnson completely,
that was the last game.
Guys, we know what I liked about that the best of all? I love when he tried to grab his ankle like it was his ankle.
Right. He knocked him out. He hit him so hard, he said, I think my ankle hurts.
What was the shot he had on Ray Malaluga, the linebacker for Cincinnati? Like I said, I think Cincinnati, they'll keep your head on a swivel, son, in a few weeks when you play. Actually, this week they played.
I thought he learned some dance moves. He was supposed to be able to avoid all this stuff.
He was dancing with the stars.
Hey, a couple of things, guys. Again, we talk about defense coming up big when they need to. Not the best Ravens defensive game that we've ever seen, but still this year, a couple of big numbers to talk about. The Ravens have allowed 0 points on the opponent's opening drives this season. We're the only team that have not given up a touchdown on the opponent's opening drive. That's huge. And only 13 points given up in the first quarter this season. And that's, again, the least of any team in the NFL. I mean, and last week, I think, Steve, and I should have continued talking about the defense. I wanted to follow up with what I meant. Yeah, the defense helped us win games last year, don't get me wrong. They also helped to lose us some games last year, but they're scoring points this year. That Jets game, really, you could argue, if it weren't for the defense, we might not have won that game against the Jets. So that's what I meant to say last week, talking about Steve with the defense. So.
Yeah, but sometimes it seems like we count on the defense to score points. You can't do that.
No, I agree.
You can't rely on the defense. That's what happened against Jacksonville, right? They were counting on the defense to score points, and didn't happen.
We'll come back and talk about that. More of the Ravens Wrap Show coming up next on Comcast Beach TV.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net. Win a trip to San Diego for 2 when you attend the Raven Wrap Shows at the Blue Ox Bar and Grill on 127th Street. Get 1 free raffle ticket for every show you attend, Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Drawing is during the November 30th Ravens Wrap Show.
G&G Outfitters, Inc. is a premier full-service in-house provider of branded merchandise and marketing solutions. With over 20 years of proven experience, G&G continues to successfully produce branded merchandise for some of the world's leading corporations, associations, and teams. From start to finish, G&G Outfitters is your single-source, one-stop partner for promotional products, logoed apparel, and all of your branded needs. For more info on the services and capabilities of G&G, visit ggoutfitters.com or call 301-731-2282.
What's going on?
We're giving Matt the NFL experience of a high-pressure field goal.
Look out! It's terrible, man!
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you can win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Hey, it gets easier. Really? No.
Are you embarrassed to invite people to your home to watch your favorite football team? Well, don't worry, because you're not alone. FlyLady.net is the support you need. Join us and our more than 600,000 members and learn how to crush the clutter and game plan your way through routines that'll help you organize your home and your life. Tackle clutter and get your home game day ready with FlyLady.net.
Welcome back in. It is the Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach. Mike Bradley, Bobby Vermillion, Steve Pappas, and John Garrick. John, I know to pick up from our last segment, make sure that you didn't get cut off.
I appreciate
giving you an opportunity to go ahead. And
I forgot where we were now.
We're talking about the defense.
But now, I don't have anything to say.
Well, I'll say this. Papo made mention that in Jacksonville, the offense was relying on the defense. You know, I think the one thing about the Jacksonville game, this is the NFL. We talked about it a little bit last week when, you look at the team like St. Louis that beats New Orleans. Well, it was Jacksonville's Super Bowl. They were playing on Monday night in front of their home crowd, in front of a national television audience. And we had a bad game. It happens.
But we were playing on Monday night too.
I know, but that was their Super Bowl. Okay, we had just come off a big win. And my point to you this week is we hope that the Ravens have learned a lesson. They're not going to be flat. They've got a lot of veterans on this team. But it is the NFL. I mean, Seattle's a pretty decent football team. They're young, and you just on the last segment you mentioned the stat that the Ravens have not allowed any team to score on them in the first drive. Well, Seattle, if you look at their stats this year, they can't score in the first half. I think they went the first 3 or 4 games without scoring a touchdown in the first half. So I think the key to this week's game is going to be, hey, if our defense can stop them and keep them out of the end zone in the first half, and we can get to a nice, comfortable lead on Seattle and put them away, because that's what you really want to do on the road. You don't want to let a team like Seattle in the game, feeling confidence, getting them feeling good about themselves. The Ravens got to get out early and put this team away early.
I mean, Jacksonville's defense is a lot better than Seattle's, but their defense is in the middle of the pack. So we're not talking about an Arizona defense from Seattle. So you're right, and this is a stadium that pumps in crowd noise. They're not supposed to, I don't believe. One of the loudest stadiums in the NFL, so I agree. Again, early starts, you don't want to give those guys any confidence. And you're right. I think that was Jacksonville's Super Bowl. I agree with you. And sad thing is here, we've lost. John Harbaugh had this great record against subpar 500 teams and all that. 2 of the 3 losses, though, have occurred this season.
Well, the good teams are going to go on the road, and defense travels, and we know that because that's who the Ravens are. So I think the defense will be okay. We just need to score points. So this is a great game. We'll see where Joe is and how he's progressed. If he can put a couple games in a row together here, he's put 6 quarters together, and this is kind of a good test.
Well, there we go. We're going to see how Joe progresses. Let's see
how
the Ravens
let's see how
let's see if the offensive line can protect him. Let's see if they can run block. If you can run the football and you can protect the quarterback.
This is where we disagree here, because you can't say that Jacksonville game or the Tennessee game, Joe had a good game.
Joe had one. Well, I'll say this: the offensive line had a bad game.
Offensive line had a terrible game.
He was getting beat to death. And I'll say this: Tom Brady looked like an average quarterback this week when they were putting pressure on him. If you want Joe Flacco to be an elite quarterback, you have to give him time. If they give him time, he will be an elite quarterback. You put pressure on Tom Brady. We've seen that the last couple of weeks.
But this is what happens when this is what happens when you got to look at what's happening during each play. When these defensive linemen and the linebackers and the safeties are teeing off and they have our snap count and our cadence down to a T, you're not putting your offensive lineman in a position to succeed. The quarterback can get up to the line with more than 5 or 6 seconds left on the play clock so that he can analyze the defense like he has been doing the last 6 quarters with the shotgun, and when he's more comfortable, he gets his team to the line of scrimmage, has a little urgency, changes the snap count, and tells Mike Orr, this is on 3. Get it 1, 2, 3. And make sure.
But if he's not getting it, he can't change the snap count.
He needs to run his ass off.
If he's run his ass,
we'll take that up with John Harbaugh.
Take it up with Cam Cameron. If they're not getting Joe Flacco to play with 10 seconds left, if he's not getting to play with 10 seconds left.
But we don't know that.
Well, we don't know that. Don't throw it on Joe. Don't throw it on Joe.
Time out. Then his quarterback, Joe, needs to say, screw it. I almost said the F word. He needs to say, screw it, guys. Get up to the line. I'm calling the play.
Give Steve a chance to comment here.
Well, it's funny because you told me, you said a lot of NFL quarterbacks carry 2 plays into the
2
huddle.
or 3 plays.
I asked Steven that, and he said, absolutely not. We only carry 1. But he did say, and to your credit, that Joe plays a lot better when he has 6 to 8 seconds when he gets to the huddle. If he gets to the huddle and he's got 2 or 3 seconds, he can't check off, he's done. And he doesn't read defense as well. We admit that.
Yeah, when you see linebackers and defensive linemen getting off the ball before our offensive line, that's a quarterback issue, not an offensive line issue. And we can't just blame it all on offensive line.
No, I think the thing is what we're saying is it's a collective effort. I think your points
are... He touches the ball. He calls the play. Everybody in the huddle looks at him. You got it?
Well, let me just say this. He's getting the play from the offensive coordinator. If they're not giving him time to get the play...
Then call the play. He's a pro.
This
isn't whatever Tony says, some Parkville Little League flag football. Get out there and call the goddamn play.
You also can't, receivers on press coverage too. If they're not getting off press coverage, that's...
So stay in the shotgun because he looks good.
Well, look, the good news is
shotgun all the
we
time.
only have 30 seconds. The good news is they are mixing in more of that no huddle, more of that shotgun.
Yeah.
By hook or crook, they're finding that he plays better that way. They need to incorporate that more. They're also incorporating more of the three-step drop or shorter routes because the line can't hold up for those deeper routes. And look, we'll talk more about the Ravens. We'll get into the upcoming game against the Seahawks. It is the Ravens Drive Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, 93.5 The Beach.
Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill. Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome back in the Ravens Wrap Show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, 93.5 The Beach is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show. Want to thank the Green Turtle, the Blue Ox, also Bud Light, FlyLady.net, the Ocean City Golf Club, G&G Outfitters, Ravens247.com, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, and JCTickets.net. Mike Bradley, Bobby Vermillion, Steve Pappas, and John Garrigan. John, just some words for you from John Harbaugh. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out where the strong man stumbles or the doer of deeds could have done him better. It's a man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred with blood and sweat and dust, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again and again. So
I just want to kick the door.
They don't care what you have to think.
Hey, look, I think he can do it every week. I think he can do just what he did every week. And that's where I stand.
All right. Well, you know what?
Harbaugh thinks that too? And Cameron thinks that?
But the fans who are just happy with him being averaging good.
I don't know that anybody's happy with him being average.
No one's happy with him just being average. Everybody wants him to be good.
I think everybody has a different opinion of where he's at. That's all. Some think he's here, some think he's here, some think he's here, some think he's here. So, I mean, it's a matter of opinion. Guys, we gotta move on. I mean, this debate will continue throughout the season. Right. There's no doubt about it. We've got a 2-6 Seattle Seahawks team. If I could ever find my papers here coming. 2-6 Seattle team. Let me real quick run through who they played and the results. Week 1, they lose to San Francisco 33-17. That was Jim Harbaugh's first game. He gets a victory, a couple of special teams touchdowns for the 49ers in that one. At Pittsburgh, as you could expect, Pittsburgh coming off the loss to us, they're playing at home. They won 24-0, no surprise. Seattle gets their first win 13-10 against Arizona. Both teams, not very good defensively or offensively. Against Atlanta, they lost, but 30-28 in that one. It was a big day for Seattle and their passing offense. They beat the New York Giants, who, folks, a very good football team this year. They win 36-25. The Giants, though, did have 5 turnovers in that game, but headed to Seattle, they made the most of them. In probably what we thought was the worst performance of the week in Week 5 offensively, they lose to Cleveland 6-3, and then the Ravens come out and lose to Jacksonville 12-7. They were pretty much statistically just as bad as each other. They lose pretty badly to Cincinnati 2 weeks ago, 34-12. In that one. And then last week they lose to Dallas 23-13. And Dallas had a few early scoring opportunities, which they ended up kicking field goals or turning the ball over. So maybe the score could have been bigger for Dallas, but again, they didn't. At the end of the day, Seattle made some plays. So, guys, we talk about this. Seattle's a tough place to play. Offensively, not very good. Marshawn Lynch has his games. He had a big game against Dallas, who does have one of the top rushing defenses.
He played well against the Ravens when he was with Buffalo.
He did. So, they've got a little bit of a running game from time to time. They've got some new draft picks. They're Russell Okung, their left tackle, is a second-year guy. Their right tackle is a rookie. So they're trying to build the offensive line up there. But again, I think as we talked about, you want to get off to a fast start. I think it's a defense that they're good enough that if you give them momentum and get the crowd in it, they could hold their offense back. So it's all about getting out early. And I think for once, I'll say that I think we do need to pound the football in this game instead of throwing it a lot.
Well, I think I talked about this earlier. I think we need to get ahead. I mean, obviously, I mentioned that Seattle is a very slow-starting football team offensively. And when you go on the road, obviously, it's a lot worse for the teams traveling from the west to the east. You know, they had to do that against Pittsburgh in week number 2. Obviously, Pittsburgh a little upset after the loss to the Ravens in week 1. But the fact that they had to travel to the East Coast, we're going to the West Coast. And you mentioned it, Mike. This is a tough place to play. Seattle's a very young football team. That's why, for me, this game's all about getting out and getting ahead. Because if you let this team in the game, you're going to give them confidence. You're going to get the fans into the game. The stadium's going to be rocking. And if you can really get ahead by maybe 14 points in the first half, you're going to take the fan base out of it and get those young guys thinking, hey, we can't beat this team. This is an experienced Ravens football team. And I think that'll be the difference. So hopefully the Ravens get off the plane, play well in that first half, and kind of put them away early. And we as Ravens fans can sit back, relax, and then look ahead to the Bengals.
Steve?
I'll tell you, these are all professional athletes, and it's only human nature. When you play, you look at the Ravens when they play. The big games, they play great. Pittsburgh, the Jets, they're up here. You look at the games at the Jacksonville. It's human nature. I just hope that somehow Ray Lewis or Suggs or Ed Reed can get everybody fired up, because Joe's not going to do it. Joe's coming off that, smoking a pack of Camels, and, it's Joe Cool. That's how he's coming off the plane. Well, you can't be that way. And if they come that way against Seattle, I'm sorry to say, we're going to be 6-3. And I hate to say that, but they've got to come out fired up. They're professional athletes. Any team in the NFL can beat any team in the NFL with the exception of the Colts. I'll take the Colts out of that equation on any given day.
John, about 50 seconds. Go ahead.
15?
50.
Oh, 50. Well, this is really a deal where Seattle doesn't have much. They don't get much pressure. They don't protect the quarterback. I don't see this one even being really close. I do think we're going to come out and actually throw the ball in this one. Last 4 games, they've been pretty tough against the run. I think Anquan Bolden's going to be big in this game. And Ravens have been, before this year, they won like 18 in a row against teams with losing records. So this is not really in the Ravens' DNA. This is almost an aberration. But
remember, they got rid of a lot of the starters.
We'll talk about it more after the break.
Yeah, we do. More of the Ravens-Seahawks preview coming up next on Ravens Wrap Show, Comcast Beach TV, and 93.5 The Beach.
G&G Outfitters, Inc. is a premier full-service in-house provider of branded merchandise and marketing solutions. With over 20 years of proven experience, G&G continues to successfully produce branded merchandise for some of the world's leading corporations, associations, and teams. From start to finish, G&G Outfitters is your single-source, one-stop partner for promotional products, logoed apparel, and all of your branded needs. For more info on the services and capabilities of G&G, visit ggoutfitters.com or call 301-731-2282.
Welcome to the Comfort Inn Gold Coast. Conveniently located just 1 block from the beach and adjacent to shopping at the Gold Coast Mall and the movie theater. Newly renovated and open year-round with a marvelous bayfront view. Visit us on the web at comfortgoldcoast.com and see our hot deals and great golf packages, or simply call our direct reservation line to plan your stay.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you can win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Are you embarrassed to invite people to your home to watch your favorite football team? Well, don't worry, because you're not alone. FlyLady.net is the support you need. Join us and our more than 600,000 members and learn how to crush the clutter and game plan your way through routines that'll help you organize your home and your life. Tackle clutter and get your home game day ready with FlyLady.net.
Welcome back in. It is the final segment here of the Ravens Wrap Show on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach. The Ravens and the Seahawks up in Seattle, 4:05 kickoff. So the Ravens going from east to west. They gain 3 hours of sleep there, so that's a good. I don't know that they're going to be sleeping much.
And then with the time change?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But real quickly, going over Seattle, Tavares Jackson, free agent quarterback who Seattle picks up in the offseason from the Minnesota Vikings. He has thrown about 60% completions, but he's got 6 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Charlie Whitehurst, the backups, played a little bit as well. Combined, they've been sacked 29 times, so they're one of the most sacked offenses in the league, which plays well to us. So as we talked about, they've got a very young offensive line, a second-year left tackle, a rookie right tackle, and then in the interior line, I think the oldest player's been in the league for about 3 years. Marshawn Lynch does have a 4.1-yard average, wide receiver-wise. Sidney Rice, another pickup from Minnesota. He's got a vertical threat. He can get down the field. Doug Baldwin is an undrafted free agent from Stanford University who played with Andrew Luck last year. Very good wide receiver. In fact, he's got the most receptions. Then Mike Williams, former USC guy, mixes in there. Zach Miller is a big tight end pickup, free agency from the Oakland Raiders. And Ben Obomanu, the 6-year receiver out of Auburn, Golden Tate from Notre Dame, hasn't done much. So, nobody really scares you too much there outside of Baldwin, and Rice can occasionally get deep.
Sidney Rice is banged up. He may not even play. So it's all, some teams are multi-dimensional, some are one-dimensional. It's hard to even say that they have any dimension. Marshawn Lynch is really not much of a player. He's known for the big playoff run against the Saints. Other than that, he's just kind of an enigma.
He was traded away when C.J. Spiller came to town, and Fred Jackson's good.
And remember, again, you talk about it, Marshawn Lynch. They beat the Saints last year in the playoffs. Nobody expected that.
Right.
So, here's a team
at Seattle. And that game was in Seattle.
That was huge. It gets back to what Steve said. These are professional athletes. These guys have a lot of pride. They're playing not for fun. They're playing for paychecks. And they got a lot to prove. They're coming in against a Ravens team that's everybody's talking about right now as being one of the best teams in the NFL. They would like nothing more than to knock the Baltimore Ravens off. Pete Carroll's a fiery guy too. Trust me, he's going to have that. It's going to be a college-like atmosphere. It always is in that locker room. He's going to have those guys ready to play. And don't think he doesn't know who John Harbaugh's brother is, Jim Harbaugh. And they haven't had the best relationship over the year. No. So he'd like to beat a Harbaugh. He hadn't been able to beat the other one.
They can't beat Jim in college or the pros.
So believe me, he's going to want to win this football game. And on the other end of that, John Harbaugh. It'll help his brother out if he wins this game. So, you got to believe that, I think Seattle's going to come to play. I think this game might be a little closer than people think.
Because, Steve, you can make the argument that the Pittsburgh games, they hurt the Ravens the next week because, let's face it, we get up a little bit more. John Harbaugh can deny it. The players can deny it. They get up the most for the Pittsburgh Steelers than any of the 30 other teams in the league. So there's no question it's going to be a little bit of a letdown for them.
Oh, it's going to be a letdown. But, I think our fears are going to be okay. I think that Ray Lewis is going to get them all fired up. I think the Ravens are going to come in. I think they're going to play pretty good. I think they're going to be fired up.
Just don't turn the ball over.
I think the letdowns, because everyone's kind of talking about the letdown because there have been a couple of letdowns this year, I think that actually is gone. I think the Ravens are going to come out and smack them around. I think this is kind of not even a game. I think the defense lays the lumber, scores once and maybe twice, and I think he follows up. I think Ray Rice will have a decent game. I think we're going to throw the ball around a little this week. And I think the defense is we're going to force Tavares Jackson to beat the Ravens, and there may be 5, 6, 7 interceptions in this game. I see more of a defensive scoring. It's more likely that the defense scores 4 touchdowns than the Ravens lose this week. So,
and this should be a game that the Ravens' offensive line should do pretty well. I think only 13 sacks total for Seattle, one of the fewest in terms of defense, getting after the offense. And Chris Clemens, the defensive end, does have 5, so that's a guy they're going to have to watch. Cam Chancellor, their strong safety, with 3 interceptions. But, it's certainly a game where I think the offensive line can dominate, and they haven't really done that this year, so that's big. And, folks, let's not forget, too, there's a big AFC North game Sunday in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. So the importance on this game, not only just for the Ravens' individual efforts, but the fact that one of those two teams is going to have a loss. So that'll either put Pittsburgh in the hole a little bit more in the loss column, or that could put the Ravens up a game on Cincinnati. Don't think that's not being talked about in the locker room.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who wins that game in Cincinnati, because Cincinnati really is the unknown right now. Right. The Ravens and the Steelers have battled it out.
And that's at Cincinnati.
That's at Cincinnati. Obviously, as Ravens fans, I think you look at Cincinnati and you go, they got a good defense, obviously, and you got a rookie quarterback. That's going to rear its bad head at some point this season, you got to believe. They got some young receivers. You got to give that staff a lot of credit. They cleared out a lot of the old stuff they had, and they started with the new. Carson Palmer's now in Oakland, and Cincinnati's playing well. But I think as Ravens fans, I think we'd rather get rid of the Steelers so we don't have to see them again.
About 45 seconds. Go down the line, get our final predictions, guys.
I think I'm going to say 27-10, but this could easily be, Ravens could score in the 40s here, but I'll go 27-10.
37-10, Ravens put it away. Son, it's over.
I'm going to say 17-10 Ravens.
17. Wow. Tony Lombardi, by the way, texted me. He likes the Ravens 26-14. I do think the Ravens are going to come to play. They know about there's no trap games here. They played poorly against some lesser teams. They're going to rise to the challenge in this one. I like the Ravens 30-10 in this one. And that's going to do it for us. Another edition of the Ravens Wrap Show. Go Ravens! Show Comcast Beach TV. Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach. We'll see you next week.
Ravens Wrap is brought to you by Bud Light, FlyLady.net, Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Ravens247.com, the original Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.